Good morning, this is Dr. Sada. I'm going to do a quick review as we start the spring semester for patient confidentiality and privacy. Our goal for today is to describe the School of Nursing expectations for maintaining patient privacy and confidentiality in any clinical or experiential setting. My second goal is to outline the importance of the role of you as a student nurse in patient confidentiality and privacy expectations. So, as nurses, we are expected to protect a patient's right to privacy and confidentiality. It's critically important that we respect people's medical information and their personal identifiable information, and needing to know information is the core to our practice. So, patient confidentiality and privacy are essential under the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, also known as HIPAA. Many of you have reviewed that in classes over the last semester and previous semesters, and I wanted to just reflect a little bit on the importance of this act as you're working through clinical experiences as a student. It is a requirement that when you're doing experiential learning and working with patients, including in simulated experiences on campus, that you practice and use the principles of confidentiality and privacy. One thing that I wanted to really stress this semester is that as a nursing student, you are accountable to the HIPAA Act, and it is important that you understand the seriousness and the legal implications of the act on your performance in both clinicals within the hospital setting, but also in community-based or experiential immersion experiences. This does include out rotations, and it definitely includes, and we practice it also in simulation. There are legal implications if you violate the confidentiality and privacy rules. And that does include things like criminal penalties. And I just highlighted this because I want to make sure everybody's aware that all of our clinical sites take HIPAA very seriously, and they're required under law to report any violations of the rule. So I wanted to review the first line. A person who knowingly obtains or discloses individually identifiable health information in violation of the rule, you can get a penalty of up to $50,000 and a 1-year imprisonment. Criminal penalties go even higher if the wrongful conduct included false pretenses, basically if there was lying involved. And then it goes up even further if you sell that information, transfer it, or use to gain commercial advantage, personal gain, or malicious harm. And the Department of Justice, under the U.S. Department of Justice, is responsible for prosecuting any violations of HIPAA rules. Very, very important that you know that, because if you do violate HIPAA, it could have significant implications at end of program or even during program if you violate that. So as a student nurse, there are some things that we do within our clinical placements to make sure that you have all the information you need to make good choice. So the first thing is many of you have already completed this semester, you've signed and reviewed clinical site-specific policies around HIPAA, as well as other policies. And you have clicked your name on there saying that you've reviewed and you understand the information and that you'll adhere and practice the information. I just want to give you and reinforce this. So when you do sign those paperwork, you should have done the review very carefully. Make sure you're focused and paying attention to the details. And that will help protect you as long as you understand the information from making any mistakes or errors that may lead to more complicated issues. It's really important that when you're in a clinical setting, you absolutely have access to many electronic record pieces of information, that you protect that information not only on the computer. If you stand away from the computer for any length of time, you want to log out, and then log back in when you need to. If you're printing any clinical information for your clinical group discussions or anything like that, make sure you shred that information before you even leave the clinical site. And then finally, if there is no pictures or no taking snapshots of any clinical paperwork or anything from the clinical records for any of your patients at any times. Again, those are just simple things you can do to make sure that you don't violate any HIPAA. The other thing that's really important is make sure you pay attention to who you're sharing information about your patients with. And this can include the nurse that you're working with your patient load, a preceptor, your clinical preceptor, and within your clinical group. You want to make sure that you're not in a public space when you discuss patient care or patient information. You also don't want to do it in a public setting, such as an elevator or in the cafeteria. Very, very important. Perception matters in the HIPAA violations. So making sure that you're really keeping the information to yourself and only sharing it with people that you need to know. That said, your course lead faculty, myself, and the clinical coordinators also have access to that information as needed. And again, making sure that you're clear in the expectations of what you can and can't share is definitely something that your clinical preceptor and the course lead faculty can help you with if you're in any doubt. And I always say to my advisees, when in doubt, just don't say anything. And it gets harder and harder as you become a nurse, because then you go to work and you want to really talk about patient situations at home with your family and friends. And I caution you against that, because we're in a world of social media and sharing of information freely, but the medical information and personal identifiable information is not something that we are allowed, nor legally or ethically able to share. So clinical and simulation or other experiential learning experiences are confidential and private for the purpose of your role. And again, reinforcing not to talk about any of your patient work outside of your clinical group setting. So you have a clinical assignment this semester in the first 2 weeks of classes. So this will be included in that assignment. Please make sure you take the time to review the video carefully. Make sure that if you have any questions, that you talk to your clinical preceptor or your course lead faculty. The faculty will be reviewing any questions you have in class in the next 2 weeks. And if you do not finish this project assignment, I am wanting to make sure you understand that I may hold you out of clinical and further violations in any future clinical for any of our students does result in progression letters. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. So again, making sure that you pay attention is really the key, and making sure that you only share and know information on a need to know basis for your patients. I'm really excited about this semester. We have some great preceptors and excellent clinical site placements. I am confident that you'll be able to meet these expectations for all of our clinical sites. And again, this is a refresher, so just make sure you're paying attention every day. So have a wonderful semester. I look forward to seeing you, and thank you very much.